Well, it gives me great pleasure to have the wonderful James Hopkins on for the third time on this very podcast. The man of 8,000 hats. I don't know if you ever remember that interview, James.
Yeah, I do.
Uh,
Yeah.
how many hats are you wearing today?
Today, I'm just wearing this one today, I think.
Yeah,
But yeah,
very important. We're talking women's football, but we're also talking about Hastings Means Business, a great initiative by the club that hopefully is going to reach out to the wider community, the business community and the community in general, to spread the lovely word of Hastings and also to bring some coinage into our lovely club. James, where do you want to start? Would you want to start with Hastings Means Business?
yeah. If we start with Hastings Means
Yeah.
Business, it's an initiative that I've done at other football clubs previously. It's quite a simple concept. We get businesses that are really interested in football and also that want to support Hastings United. We have a quarterly business lunch at the football club, of which we've had two, and they've been really well supported. And it attracts people that want to support the club in their own way, and want to find out more about what we do and who we are. And it's really a captive audience for us to showcase everything that's brilliant about Hastings United, really.
Yeah, and you had the new management team on for the last one, didn't you?
Mm.
How did that go down?
Yes, brilliant. Paul Barnes did a superb presentation, ins and outs of what they do as a management duo, and also how it relates to business, which is really good because if we can get that little link for business people to then have it as a set, like a little educational slot for them, how football management in the modern day relates to business and running a business, they're really interested in that, and that went down really well.
Yeah, so you're talking about you've took this role on for the Hastings Mean Business, and I think that's through Ben White, a part of the new ownership. Have you got any words on the new ownership? Anything you want to kind of tell us Hastings fans about them? Because we know them from playing for Hastings, but don't know the ins and outs of that relationship.
Yeah, so basically, Aspire Sports Limited, which is a company that's been set up, obviously, by Ben, his dad's Mark Gall, who is he's our under 13s girls manager, but also a director at the Hastings Sofa Company. And we also have Metin Drabovic, who is a businessman who's got a few restaurants in the southeast of England. And previously, they've all been in the inception of the academy. They were all involved intrinsically in that right at the beginning. Any more detail on that, you probably have to interview Ben because he knows all the ins and outs. But I know them all personally. They're all great individuals. They love football and they definitely love Hastings United Football Club, and they want to see success on and off the pitch. And they really, really advocate our academy because that is our future.
It definitely is. It definitely is. I know because obviously there's the different training now, side training in London half the week and in Hastings half the week. Is that something that is going to be still ongoing? Is that still the plan this season?
Yeah, I mean, speaking to Paul, that is the plan this season.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got to look at everyone's situation, players' situations, where they live, where they've got to travel. So it is probably the way of modern football. You've got other clubs, obviously, that are in our vicinity that are have a larger budget than us, that are paying players on a full-time basis. Obviously, that costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, in order to get the best out of your players and the best out of your team, we've got to try and get into training to a high level as easy as possible. And I think that the way that they're doing it at the moment is probably the best way for us in order to be competitive with a lot of London teams, so.
Well, we certainly started competitively. It's been a decent start. Myself, just getting to know this new team completely. Obviously, literally everyone from last season has gone. So it's, for an old codger like me, who's a bit old school, it's a bit of a difficult to deal with, but I'm dealing with it. I'm taking my tablets. No.
One thing I do need to mention that I really want to try and get as many people I can to is the 1st of December Hastings Means Business Christmas lunch. So what we're trying to do is we want a more or less 12 till 5 event. We're going to have Mickey the Turker Taylor, who will be giving us a talk regarding his book, Roller Coasters of Non-League Football, which will be really interesting. Mickey's a really interesting guy. Used to be a manager at St Leonard's Stamco, up the road. So a lot of people know him. And we will also have, again, Paul Barnes giving us an update on what's happening at that period. So that gives us a couple of months of games. Paul will be updating us. It's a 2-course lunch, which is done by our in-house caterers, John Emson Catering, which is obviously brilliant. As you probably, hopefully, you've experienced, the food has gone up a level.
I nicked some from Johnny Wills. Yes, it was a lot better. Yes, a lot better.
Yeah. No, that's good.
I'm more liquid lunch myself, but yeah, that's just something I've got to deal with. It's
just trying to get an offer in. We are looking at improving that as well, to be honest with you, with potentially more outlets around the ground.
Yeah.
Loved, just going a little bit off tangent. I loved going to Dulwich and learning a lot from what they've got up there with the outlets around. That was really buzzing. So that's cool. But again, Hastings Means Business lunch on the 1st December. There is, we can get people booked in. We can get up to about 100 in there. It'd be great to get that sort of number, and then let everyone know how we're getting on with the football club. Really. Well,
I know from my chatting on the Facebook and things like that, the various ways that us Hastings fans communicate. There's lots of people with ideas. That it would be really good if we can get a few fans down there because and to interact with business, because ideas that remain on Facebook are no good. You need to get out there, get talking with people, and get.
Well, also we want ideas. The new ownership want people's ideas. They want to know what works for you, because at the end of the day, you're the fan. So that's another reason Hastings Means Business exists, is so that we can get expertise from people that run big businesses to then help the football club. Because if you're a closed book and you're a closed shop, you're never going to develop at all. And you have to just try new ideas. As you know, with regards to the fixture posters recently, that was a previous concept that was obviously looked after by the supporters club, as you mentioned before. We just need to get them out there, because if your logo, if your identity and your fixtures are about the town every month, when we go to visit these people to give them these posters, we can have a chat about Hastings United, and potentially that's another source of sponsorship just by interacting with the local business community. And that's, for me, as a commercial person, that's really why I wanted to do it, so that we can interact, face to face with people instead of just using social media all the time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Face to face, far better. Talking of face to face, hello, Georgia.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm okay. Just to introduce Georgia Townsend, who's the under-9s girls
under-9
coach,
girls manager,
and plays for Eastbourne United, which I don't know how we feel about that. I say, not really. How long have you been in the role? And tell us about it, please.
So I've been the coach for the under-9s since April last year. So this is the first team I've had to myself, which has been really good. I got the team due to the success of the Euros last year. So I was just helping out with the under-10s, but then it became massive girls football. We went from having 8 girls to about 30 girls attending training, it was amazing to see how many girls want to come and play football.
Okay, and so as I expect from the World Cup, you're going to need some help, aren't you?
Yes. So last night at training, we did an open training session, so anybody could come and join in, and we had about 50 girls aged 5 to 11 up at horn time. So it was great to see this many girls, and all of the girls, especially the younger ones, said that they've been watching the World Cup, and that's why they want to come and play. So that was really nice to see.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that's really good. In terms of the journey, I know obviously it's Jake does the pre-academy, so he's working with 3 to 6 year olds. That sort of 6 to 9 year olds, who works with them there?
So we've just got a new coach come in called Amy. She's really keen to get started, and she's just done her level 1 coaching. So she's taking all of the girls that are not quite old enough to enter into the leagues that we've got. So the youngest competitive age group is the under-9s, which I take. So then Amy's got all of the girls younger than that. So she had a group of 10 last night at training of really little girls wanting to try football out.
It's amazing. Obviously, the women's setup was 2019, wasn't it? Around then, it's amazing how much it's grown. Considering we're not awash with money, a few things being televised, the enthusiasm for women's football, which is so good to see.
Definitely. Even at Hastings. So I've been with Hastings just over a year now. And even since I've been, it's grown massively with the Girls Academy. So I think when I first started, there was just under 10s, under 11s, under 12s. And now we have under 9s, we have 2 under 11 teams, we have under 12s, under 13s, under 15s, and then hopefully we'll really expand that to have an under 18s one day for Hastings.
And just for any girls that are interested to listen to this, it's at Horntine, yeah? The train's always at Horntine, or is it at different places?
Training will be at different venues, so we use a range of them, but it will always be publicised on social media if we do have any changes. But if anybody does want to get involved, then they can contact myself or James, and we can direct them to the correct age group for them to come and try training out.
Okay. All right, lovely. So in terms of the contacts, I also could direct them to the Hastings Women's Twitter. Georgia, I want to talk about the women's side. Obviously, you play for Eastbourne. What's your thoughts on how the current women's team is shaping up for Hastings?
For Hastings, I think that they've managed the change well. So obviously from a lot of players moving elsewhere, I think the new management team and Tom's come in and he's really brought the team together to shape that up. And yeah, we're looking forward to playing Hastings again this season as Eastbourne United.
Yeah, that should be a bit feisty. Yeah. I mean, what's it? Because obviously I'm biased. Obviously playing on the pilot field is far different than playing in Eastbourne, in my opinion. It's far better experience, the pilot field, the green carpet that it is. I mean, in terms of atmosphere, we do get some a fair attendance at our women's games. I mean, is it like that at Eastbourne?
We do get quite a few supporters. It's more family and then people that obviously enjoy watching football. So they watch the men's at Eastbourne, they come and watch the women's. But I think at Hastings, where they have the Girls Academy, that kind of brings people through the gates. Obviously, Eastbourne doesn't have a girls section. But Hastings definitely has the advantage there to create like a family-friendly environment for girls to come in. So the girls get the opportunity to be mascots with the women. They get hosted in the boardroom, so they get snacks at half time. They're ball girls, so it's a really positive experience for them to go out, and then that brings their families in to get more supporters for the women's team.
It's good the club's making the effort, and that is bearing fruit. So that's all good to hear. James, let's talk about obviously let's talk about Billy Wood. Let's talk about his what he brought to the women's team. He obviously put a lot of time and energy into that, and was successful. Has since moved on to Haywards Heath. Do you want to give a few thoughts on Billy first, and then we'll talk about the new setup?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you can't forget about the contribution that Billy made to the women's section. He, shone a massive light on the women's team, and over the last 2 seasons, they've been really competitive with a lot of players coming in. And yeah, I mean, the way that Billy markets things and the way that he developed it into a situation where the girls can now come and be mascots and ball girls is brilliant. And you can't forget that, and you to mention that as is a really, really positive thing. I wish him all the best at Haywards Heath. He steps a few levels up, which is going to be a challenge, or would be a challenge for anyone, be a challenge for me. And we wish him all the best on that. Really,
the current setup.
The current setup is we've got Tom Young, who obviously was just before we had the change. Billy, he was assisting Billy as the first team coach, assistant manager. He's now come in after we've had an interview process. We had 3 or 4 applicants, and Tom shone through with his experience. Previously been at Lewis, he has just qualified as a UEFA B licensed coach. And the way that he manages the team and his attributes with regards to welcoming young players into the squad is exactly the model that Hastings United want to develop now. Tiana Tapp, who was in our academy, previously playing in the only girl in a boys team, and now she was Hastings United Academy, brief spell at Who, come back, she's straight into the first team, 16-year-old striker. We have 5 players that are in our under 16s that will definitely be looking at taking that step. Probably halfway through this season, I imagine, when they turn 16. They're wanting to finish off their season with the under-16s. We have so many younger players around Hastings that's the avenue that Tom wants to go down. Obviously, we want to be competitive. Obviously, we want to win the league. We want to progress up the levels, but we need to try and do it in a more sustainable and local fashion. That's what we need to do, just to manage it. And really, we want to give people opportunity, and you can't give people opportunity if players are coming down from Dartford and London at this level of women's football, in my opinion. So,
no, it sounds very good for the future. People with Hastings links, probably bring in more of a crowd as well. Just if it's for Hastings Eastbourne, I know that's going to be a tasty one. That one.
It was brilliant the other day when we had the World Cup final on. Obviously, unfortunately, the result, but we had the World Cup final on. The Pilot Bar was absolutely chocker, full of families, children watching the game. We had the food bar open. A lot of them spilled over and stayed to watch the women's game straight after. What we're now going to try and do under the new ownership is we want to try and have fixtures and training with the girls' academy on just before the women's game starts to warm up. Yeah. And then that will then draw in and showcase to the academy the development that is the opportunity that is there for them. And like Georgia alluded to, they can be ball girls, they can be mascots, they can come in at half time. There's a lot of people, I've shared recently on Twitter, we've got some academy girls that have had photographs and getting autographs of the first team players. They absolutely love it and they idolise the first team because that's where they see themselves going. And I don't know what Georgia probably feel the same. 10 years ago, that didn't look possible for a young girl. But now it does. That's the difference. I've got 3 daughters, so I want to give them as much opportunity as possible.
I'd say I know I'm maybe being a bit of an old codger here, but like 30 years ago, my ex-wife used to play for QPR, and what the level was like then in terms of facilities, how it was literally they had to make it up themselves. It was they were lucky to get goal nets. You know what I mean? It was ridiculously underfunded and unloved. It was only the love of those girls that wanted to play that kept it going. So how, particularly over the last 10 years, it's progressed is amazing.
Well, I mean, Georgia, you'd probably be able to jump in on this, and your experience is going to be more than mine about what facilities you had when you were younger playing football.
Yeah, so obviously it always seems like the boys got given the better facilities, especially down at grassroots level. But the clubs that I've played for, I've been lucky enough that they have had facilities to use, but I suppose now it's really getting better, but there's still the issue with facilities in Hastings, especially over the winter months. So girls were without football, well, not just the girls, all of the children in Hastings were without football when pitches were flooded. So I think there needs to be more research and more routes to be looked into to make sure that these children can play football over the winter months.
Yeah, it's an important point you make there over the fact that all children were denied basically playing space for anything, really. I mean, it's something that I hope the new ownership are going to have a dialogue with the council. I've heard lots of talk from the council about maybe possible 3G pitches being sourced, but I mean, that costs money, and I know, talk is cheap, so I don't know where to go with that.
I think, dialogue with the council has already started at the end of the day, because we have a lot of councillors that support our football club and we, appreciate all their opinions. I think what we want now is everyone just to support each other and get this problem solved. Politics aside, they need places to play. So we're all coming up with different solutions and ideas, and it's now just about trying to work out what's best for everybody. Yeah. And that's the way I see it. At the end of the day, I'm a problem-solving sort of person, and it's just solve it the easiest way for everybody, really. But yeah, the dialogue has started, and it is positive. So
good. How's Eastbourne getting on, by the way?
We have only had one league game so far. Last weekend against Montpellier, we won 3-2.
Oh, there you go. And you set up the winner?
No, not the winner.
Oh, okay.
I did set up one though.
Oh, that's it. That's all I need to hear. Okay, well, listen, James, Georgia, thank you very much for coming on. Doing great work, and it's so good to see that the more people involved with Hastings, it's just great, and the growth of the club over the particularly last 5-6 years, it warms my heart. So take care, and I'll see you both at the game.
Yeah.
Perfect.
See you then, mate.
Thank you.
So-